statement on that, but we're now joined by former Cowboys great quarterback Danny White on SicEm365 Radio. He's been with us on a handful of occasions, been nice enough to join our show. Danny, thank you very much for your time. How much, there's a big difference obviously now in what can be done during the offseason. Was there a time though, back when you were playing, did it go straight from the draft to mini camps, to OTAs, to whatever they called it, to eventually training camp, or was there a long break that you had between the draft and also training camp?
Yeah, it was just one long break. And we didn't have OTAs, mini camps, that stuff. It was just a long break. I mean, we were with our coaches. We were out throwing the ball around. We were lifting weights. We were getting ready. And then we went to training camp and right into the season.
What were would you think players would like the long off season now compared to what they are? Because they seem to be kind of fighting back on some of these OTAs.
Oh, it's gotten so complicated, and it changes every year, and the Players Association gets involved in it, and what they can do and what they can't do, and how many hours they can practice, and veteran days off, and it's just it's crazy. I would like to see it simplified a little bit, not so many rules and regulations, and just go get ready for the season and go play. But anytime money gets involved, and it's all about money, and it's gotten so big, and the attention has gotten with social media, and it's gotten so crazy that I guess you have to monitor it, and I don't know. I go to the games, watch the games, and don't pay too much attention to all that other stuff.
Yeah, keep it simple, right? Not too complicated. Danny, we've had quite a few former athletes on from 70s and 80s, and one of the comments they always make is about like the nutrition level that athletes have nowadays. These personal trainers, you got trainers on the team, like the health aspect of it is so wildly different from when many played years ago. What was your workout routine like? I mean, was that something you kind of had to do on your own, and what did that consist of? I imagine compared to today, it was quite different.
Yeah, it was all on our own in the beginning of my career. Now, at the end of my career, we were starting to get into having controlled workouts. We had a conditioning coach that monitored all that stuff, and we actually got to the point where the club was actually paying certain players to work out. And that was just so radical. And now it's just commonplace. Everybody gets paid to work out and to come to the facility and not do it on their own. And again, it's all about money. And some guys, it's a big deal. If you're Aaron Rodgers, it's not such a big deal. You have that kind of control, and everything is monitored. Every breath you take, every step you make, everywhere you go, it's all monitored.
You almost started singing a song with us, right? Every breath you take, every move you make.
Every move you make. I'll be watching you, yeah.
Danny,
I'll be watching.
I would think not, but was there ever a time you went to training camp where you weren't in shape?
No. That's a short answer. No, that was not even, I would be letting down so many people if that were to happen. And, it wasn't going to camp, but it was being at the practice field every day for 2 months before that. And especially as a quarterback, there were so many guys that were counting on you, and it didn't have anything to do with money. It was not wanting to let your teammates down first and foremost, and then the organization, and then the fans. There were just a lot of people that were counting on you to be the best you could be, and that was enough. That was the motivation that drove us to go in, and we were just grateful that the club gave us these facilities, this beautiful blue tin surrounded practice field on Forest Lane in Dallas, that we had total access to go work out. And I'm being facetious a little bit, but it was one football field, an outdoor slab of cement with weights on it, and it gradually got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the day came when we moved to Valley Ranch, and oh my gosh, they're just absolutely going overboard with the facilities that they're providing us with, and it was like a country club.
Well, the one you were talking about was off 75, right? The original place where you worked out?
Well, it was off 75 and LBJ, 635. It was right there kind of on that southeast quadrant of that intersection. And, Greenville Avenue and all that was just right there. The grocery store across the road and a couple little asphalt parking lots, and that was it.
You could fry an egg on their practice field. There's no question about it.
Well, and the Days Inn looked right down on our practice field. Right to the north of it. And I remember Coach Landry. Every time we played the Redskins, he would buy out the hotel because he knew that they had spies up there of our practice.
Yeah, George Allen with binoculars looking down.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't him, no question.
Absolutely.
Back in the day,
Danny, what's the conversation like between players on your teams about Cliff Harris and Drew Pearson and the fact that this is finally the year that they will get their gold jackets?
Well, it's just a, you're right. It's finally come, and it's exciting for all of us. Those of us have kind of been forgotten, and we get one more shot at being a part of something. And I told Drew, I was with him the other day, I'm just proud to have been one small sliver of his journey and getting to the Hall of Fame, and he always has been really good to me and nice, and saying how lucky he was to have two quarterbacks, not just one. Well, one and a half maybe, but he's always been great, and it really is. It's going to be fun for me to go back to Canton and actually just be there as an observer, if nothing else, and watch the guy that I threw the ball to. I had a couple of games, the Atlanta playoff game, where he caught two passes from me to win the game and send us to the next round of the playoffs. And so it's just, it's just great to just be a part of it. I can't even imagine what it's like actually going in,
Danny, there were a lot of times that it seemed like the Cowboys, there was something missing when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Not only players, but there was something there. But other teams seemed to have whoever was up, they got in. The Steelers, obviously the Packers and the Lombardi had a great run, but there were a few others. Was there a time, maybe the 49ers, was there a time when you wondered why more Cowboys weren't getting in?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like they're like siblings, and you always have a biased view of what they were and what they did and how hard they worked, and you knew them inside out, and you saw everything that went into it, and you just wondered, but then you meet these guys from the other teams. I mean, I hated John Riggins, I hated Joe Montana, and then you meet these guys, you play in a golf tournament with them, or you some kind of an event where you actually get to meet them, and you know what, they're just as human as you are, and they've worked hard, and they've done a lot as well, and it's almost sacrilege to think that I would play in a golf tournament with Joe Montana. I never would have dreamed that would happen, And when I played, now today you see players after the game, and they're all hugging each other, and they're buddies, and they're pals. That never happened when I played. Those guys were like aliens. They were like from another planet, And when the game was over, you went right to your locker room and, either celebrated or threw your helmet around. And it was truly warfare. And that's another part of the game that I think has kind of gotten lost. Players move from team to team to team to team, and so it's one big social group that everybody knows everybody, and it's a lot different than it was when I played.
You obviously had a stretch of 3 consecutive years where you all were in the NFC Championship game and so close. Obviously, Philadelphia got you pretty good, but the other games with the 49ers and Washington were pretty close. Washington eventually separated. Did you ever spend much time, what if you could have won one of those or 2 of those or 3 of those, the kind of run you could have had as a starting quarterback with the Cowboys?
No, not really. I felt like the 49ers game was probably the closest we came. The Redskins game, I was knocked out in the second quarter and didn't play the rest of the game. And the Eagles game was just, it was just in brutal weather, wind blowing 100 miles an hour, wind chill about 20 below zero, and it was just try to get anything done, So, but the 49ers game was one that I thought we were one play away, one fingernail tackle. Eric Wright on Drew Pearson, and there's another one. That would have been my Hail Mary, my version of the Hail Mary, and Drew would have scored or at least gained another 10 or 15 yards. We kick a field goal and win that game. And isn't it funny how history is made? Because you think of the great plays in the history of football, and none of them are by design. The immaculate reception, the catch, the Hail Mary. Roger will go down in infamy for a pass that was badly underthrown, and it just kind of fate takes over and things happen. And Montana to Clark and the catch would be nothing but another play if Drew is able somehow to break that tackle, or has a tearaway jersey or whatever it takes, and we end up winning that game. And so it's kind of crazy, but no, you don't lose sleep over it. You go out as long as you feel like you gave it 100%. You trained in the off season. You studied your opponent. Mistakes happen, but as long as the effort was always there, then there are no sleepless nights. I promise you.
What do you want to see? Obviously good defense. What do you expect from Mike McCarthy's Cowboys in year 2? Well,
I expect what I expected every year. On paper, they seem to do this every year. But, there's 32 teams who say this. They look at their roster, they look on paper, and they say, we're contenders for the Super Bowl. And the league has done a remarkable job of promoting the game, promoting each team, and the Cowboys are as good on paper as maybe they've ever been. Maybe I've ever seen them. Now, losing a guy like Sean Lee hurts in the locker room, but that's the thing we don't get to see is the interaction, and it's such a big part of the game. The chemistry, the leadership, all the intangibles that go into guys playing 60 minutes of football and not quitting in the middle of the fourth quarter, getting tired. That just never used to happen. And so the Cowboys, in my opinion, I'd like to see them, like everybody else, play better defense, get Dak back. And if Dak's healthy, and which he is, then offensively, you got to look at the offensive line and say, well, as long as they can move people around, and is Zeke's a year older, and other than that, man, they've got as good a battery, quarterback and receivers, as there is in the league. Quarterback, receivers, running back, and so defensively, they just gotta hold teams to 20 points or less, and they're going to win every game. And that's what Cowboy fans are saying everywhere.
You know, when you think about it, it's been 26 years. I brought this up. We brought it up to Babe Laufenberg yesterday. He joined us. Could you ever imagine the Cowboys would ever go? And I know it's hard. It's hard to win, and sometimes people take it for granted. And the way you guys spit things out when you were with Landry and the Cowboys, it's 26 years since they even played for a conference title. Could you ever imagine that being the case?
No. And that's, people ask me about my career, and coming off of the Super Bowl years, we went to the championship game 3 years in a row. In the 5 years that I started and finished the season, we were in 10 playoff games, 5-5. And so to go that long is really, truly almost unthinkable. But, the converse of that is the fact that the league has done such a great job of spreading it around. With the draft, the combine, they're making it possible for every team in the league to compete. So it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, look at Jacksonville, how bad they were last year, and now everybody's looking at them as the team to beat. And that's happening to a lot of teams, and it's a credit what the league, the owners have done with the system to keep all 32 teams in it, until the second half of the season at least, or maybe the fourth quarter.
Danny White with us, former Cowboys great with us on SicEm365 Radio. When you watch Dak, and you've said what they do on offense, when he's healthy, when you watch him play, how dynamic has he been?
Well, I don't know if dynamic is the word. He's a great leader. We talk about checking all the boxes, and if there's 20 boxes to check, he's a 9 or a 10 in just about all of them, and that's what you see in Dak. Now, the one thing that he has never had to do is come back from an injury, really a serious injury, and quarterbacks. And I know because I went through it. You can suffer from shell shock a little bit if you get hit enough, get injured enough. Now, what's going to be going on through his mind the next time he breaks out of the pocket and runs to his left? Mm-hmm. Is that something that's going to affect him? Is he going to go down a little bit quicker? We don't know, because he's been so durable that he's never had to go through something like that before. And this is the first time. So we'll all watch him grow. And I think he's going to be fine, just knowing his character and knowing how hard he works, knowing the kind of condition he's in. I mean, the guy's like a linebacker playing quarterback. And so this was such a freak deal. And I think he realizes that the chances of that ever happening again are pretty remote. But it can be an issue. It can get in your head to where you're actually watching things that you're not supposed to be watching. You're going down a little bit sooner than you would normally. You're running out of bounds rather than getting that extra 2 yards and getting the first down. And so not that I think that'll happen to Dak, but that's one thing we've just never seen from him.
Danny, I didn't mention this the last time we were on the show, but I brought it up after, and I wanted to mention it to you. One of my favorite childhood memories was the year after you retired. You were speaking at the Independence Bowl luncheon. I was living in Bossier City, and my parents had a tremendous argument about it, because my mom didn't think you should go out of school. Even if we were in war-torn country, she would have wanted me to be in school. But she finally acquiesced, and my dad and I went to that luncheon to see you, and it was one of my absolute favorite childhood memories. And I found the picture of it the other day, and I would have showed it on the show today, except I was too adorable, and I don't want people to be disappointed how I turned out.
Well, you know what? We all have our moments, and it's all relative. So I'm glad I was able to bring a smile to someone's face. And, that's what it's all about. When you get to be my age, guys, you know what? It's funny how championships and money and Super Bowls all kind of fade away. And it's all about whether or not you did the best you could do. And maybe made someone forget their troubles for a couple of hours. If that was something I was able to do, then it was a successful career.
Danny, thank you very much for being a part of the show with us yet again. Thanks for your time, your insight, and hopefully see you down the road.
Hey, you're very welcome. Anytime, guys.
Danny White took the Cowboys to 3 consecutive NFC Championship games, was a part of their Super Bowl when they beat Denver. Roger Staubach, of course, was the starter. I looked at his career. The last 3 years he played, 87, 86 he got hurt, broke his wrist, and the Cowboys faded after that. 87 was a strike year. 88 was a year in which he also was injured. And then 88, I think it is, when maybe somebody else became the starter. So he put up some he put up some big numbers, and always so close. But that's when the Cowboys had that run of 3 consecutive. That's why you don't take them for granted. You get there, we say, I haven't been there in 26 years. They went to 3 in a row and didn't get to the Super Bowl when they were spitting out Super Bowl appearances against the Steelers and the Dolphins and others as well.
Told a great story, now that I'm remembering, about Jack Lambert. The first time I'd heard of Jack Lambert, because I was like 10, years old, so it was already, and he said that he thought that they used to keep Jack Lambert in a cage, feed him raw meat, and show him video quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, I think that really was. That wasn't even that was true. He was. Of course, Jack Lambert in today's NFL would be kicked out of games or would be fined so much or suspended. It's different, and you wonder about sometimes when we've asked other former players what would they be like to play in this day and age of football. By the way,